Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia and I'm a knitter and a crocheter living in Washington, DC. And this is my little corner of the internet where I share all of my crafty endeavors. So if that sounds like something you're interested in knowing more about, then please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so that you'll know when I upload new podcast episodes like this one. So first of all, I want to thank everyone who has already subscribed to my channel, left me beautiful comments, people who have had an opportunity to kind of get to know through the comment section or on my Instagram, which is at Phylena Knits. I will have it linked below. And I get an opportunity to talk to a lot of you and share with you my passion and love for knitting. So I just want to thank everybody who's taken the time to subscribe or share my videos or give it a thumbs up or leave a comment. It really truly does mean a lot to me, and I'm thankful, that people even care or that people are even watching my videos. It still amazes me how many of you there are out there who care about what I'm making in the confines of my little apartment. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and also hi mom, I know you're watching, and I have a lot to share today, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started, because if not, this video may last for hours and I don't want to put you all through that. That doesn't sound fun to me. But so I'm gonna start with some finished objects, and then I'm gonna show you a couple of projects that I'm currently working on, and then I will share with you some yarn that I've purchased that I don't quite have a plan for, but we all do that, right? We all buy yarn just because it's pretty and we don't know what we're gonna do with it. So I don't feel bad about that. Since the last time that I filmed, I had a birthday and I really leaned super heavy into the like treat yourself mentality. So I bought a lot of yarn, like a lot of yarn, and I'm not going to show it all today. Some of it was pre-order, some of it I don't have yet, some of it I do have, but you'll see it eventually. So I will be sharing like stuff that I bought, but I'm not going to show every single thing that I bought because again, we'd be here all day because mama went a little overboard on the birthday purchases. So yeah, finished objects. I'm going to go in chronological order of when I finished stuff because I think that's the easiest. But hold on, I'm having a wardrobe malfunction. Okay, all fixed. So I'm gonna go in chronological order of when I finish things because I think that will be the easiest. So the first thing I have are these socks. And these are just like vanilla socks, but I've talked before on a couple of episodes how I just want to do a lot more experimentation with socks and vanilla sock recipes. So I took pretty extensive notes on this sock because I'm not a huge sock knitter, but I'm getting more and more into it, and I wanted to be able to figure out what I liked, what I didn't like, what works, what doesn't work. And I think socks are going to be something that I kind of always have on my needles, even if it's not like my main active project. So I shared a little bit about these socks on the last episode. I'll have it linked. These are from a sock set from Hugh Loco. It's one of her chicken sock sets, and I will have this particular sock set linked below if she still has it in stock. The cuff that I did is a double cuff. So on the inside, it is this mauve color, or I think this is rose hip, and then on the outside, it's a mauve color, so I can wear it either way. And I did these so that they would fit and just kind of peek out over the top of a pair of boots. That was kind of the style that I was going for with these. And for the cuff, I did a provisional cast on. I believe I started with the mauve, with the rose hip color, joined the mauve color, and then I like joined it together and then did the color. the main color, if that makes sense. And then for the heel, I did a heel flap and gusset, but I did an eye of partridge heel flap and gusset. That is my preferred heel method. I may experiment with other heel methods, but I really like that one, so I think that's the one that I'm gonna go with for a little while, just until I figure out other things that I like and don't like. And then for the toe, I did an anatomical toe. And so there's a left sock and a right sock, and I followed a tutorial from Justin at the Bearded Purl. I will link that video down below. It was extremely helpful. He walked you through doing an anatomical toe, doing the color change, all of that. So I really do love these socks. I love the way that they turned out. They fit amazing. And I'm going to show you a pair of socks that I'm working on in a moment, but these, I love the yarn. I love the colors. These are going to be really, really fun to wear this fall and winter. There are a few changes that I think I will make in the next pair, just based on my notes. I don't remember how many rounds I did for the leg, but I think I'm going to do 65 rounds for the leg and then 65 rounds for the foot before I start the toe decreases. I think I did 70 rounds in the foot, and it's fine, but I'm gonna see. So I think I'm gonna do the same number of rounds for the leg and the foot. In Justin's tutorial, he has you decrease, I believe, 7 rounds before you add in the color change for the toe. And I think that works if you have a larger foot. So he has more round, I think he does a 72 stitch sock. And so the toe is a little, to me, it just aesthetically looks a little shorter than I would want it to. So I think on the next one, I'm going to do the decreases. The next time I do a contrast toe, I'm going to do the anatomical decreases in the contrast color, or the toe decreases in the contrast color, and not wait to add it at the very end, if that makes sense. So yeah, I really love these socks. I knit them on a US 1, and I'll show you the socks that I'm working on in a moment, but I'm making some changes to the next pair of socks that I make. But these are great, and I'm excited to get to wear them. So that's my first finished object. The next finished object is the Cumulus top by Petite Knit. On my last episode, I talked about how this yarn and this pattern helped me to regain my knitting mojo. And this project was such a learning lesson, not on anything necessarily related to knitting. If I make this top again, there are a few changes that I will make, and I'll get to that in a moment. But it also taught me like a big lesson. So I'm gonna get to that as well. First, just the stats on this top. So I cast on for I think the second or third largest size, based on the way the pattern was written and how they had you measure your bust. That was how I chose the size. And I knit this out of Malibrigo Susurro yarn, which is 50% silk, 25% merino, and 25% linen. And it's amazing. Like, the drape on this is absolutely beautiful. And the color is Tourmaline, which is this so beautifully variegated color that is kind of gray and beige, but it also has little pops of like a rust color, little pops of like a purple color in it. It's so beautiful. And when it was on my needles, literally every single stitch was a different color, and I was obsessed with this yarn. So now I'm going to talk about what this pattern, or what this particular project taught me. And what it taught me is, if you don't love your project while you are knitting it, or love something about it, you're not going to love it anymore once it's finished. So with this project, you start with the triangles for the front and the back, and then you join it in the round. And when I was working on the triangles, I thought it was going to be too small. And then I think I made them a little bit bigger, and then I went up a side. I made some modification where essentially now this is huge, like huge. This is me and this is the top. So this is how much like extra fabric there is in the top, and the top is supposed to have negative ease. So when I tried it on, I hadn't done all the I-cord edging yet. So I was like, maybe the I-cord edging will help to cinch it in, which is typically true for I-cord edging, but it didn't. And so as I was working on it, I decided to work in some decreases along the side, thinking that that would bring in the side and kind of help it be more fitted. It did that, but not enough. And then now it's like wide and extremely cropped. So it's more boxy than how I would want to wear this top. I wanted it to be kind of fitted a little bit longer. And even though probably halfway through the body, I knew that this top was going to be too big, I kept going because this project was something that I was actually looking forward to working on every day. It helped me regain my knitting mojo. I felt really connected to it. I was, you know, sharing it on my Instagram and getting such positive feedback on it. And then when I finished it, I blocked it and I put it on and I did not love it. And so I just chalked it up to, you know, I had been working on it for so long that I was just tired of looking at it. I would start something else, I'll come back to it, and I'll love it. And I love wearing my hand knits. I get a tremendous amount of pride, enjoy wearing them. I spend a lot of time picking yarn and projects that are going to be things that I'm going to want to wear. And I finished this maybe a month and a half ago, and I have not worn it one single time because I can't fit it into my style because of how oversized and boxy it is. So I was watching an episode of The Grocery Girls, and I can't remember if it was Tracy or Jody, but one of them was talking about like not loving a project that they were working on, and this notion that like you're only going to love a project, like you're going to love a project the most when you finish it. And if you don't love it when you're done with it, then you're probably not going to grow to love it at any other point in time. So I have decided to frog this shirt. I'm actually going to do it today. I have book club when I finish filming this, and so I'm going to frog this during my book club. And I'm okay with that. Like, I know that some people get really emotional, or not emotional, that's being dramatic, that people will like not want to frog projects even if they don't love it. I love this yarn. In fact, I think I'm going to try to pick up 2 more skeins of this yarn. I loved knitting it. I love the fabric. I love the color. I love everything about this yarn. I don't love the way that this project fits. And one of the most beautiful things about knitting is that this is just string, right? Like, it's just yarn, and it's my hands, it's my time, it's my ability that turns it into this. And so if I can create this, I can create something else that I will love because I have created other garments that I love. So I know that it's something that I'm capable of doing, and I am okay like allowing this project to be what it was and to have served its purpose. And now the yarn can serve another purpose and become something that I will love and actually want to wear. So I'm going to frog this. I don't know that I'll be able to save the straps. I don't know how much of the yarn I'll be able to reclaim, but I'm going to reclaim as much of this as I can. I'm probably going to pick up a couple of more skeins of this from my local yarn shop, and then I will probably make a tee or something else with it because I want to wear this. Like, I love the color of this on my skin, but this particular project is not perfect for me. And if you don't love it, you don't love it. So I do highly recommend the pattern. Don't know if I said it's the Cumulus top by Petite Knit. It was a very simple pattern. If you've never done garment construction before, I think that you could make this. It's actually very simple, and the instructions are really, really clear. Just smack myself in the face with my shirt. The instructions are really, really clear, and so if it is something that you're interested in making, you should absolutely go for it. I would go down a couple of sizes, and you know, I made a gauge swatch and everything, so I don't know if my gauge changed or what happened, but this was just way, way, way too big for me. I don't know if it was like a grading thing. I don't know, but this is huge. And like, I'm not that, like, it's huge. So, and even though the pattern is not written to be extremely size inclusive, if you read it and understand the construction, it's easy to modify. Even though the modifications aren't written in for you, it's super easy to modify. And I'm not going to say the stitch counts don't matter, but once you kind of make your triangles for the front and the back, the stitch count doesn't really matter. So you can add as many or as few underarm stitches as you need to based on your body and your bust measurements and how you want your top to fit. So this was fun while it lasted, but it is going to be frogged today. The next project that I have is one that I do love. So there's that. This is the Cumulus top, and I made this out of the Spectrum Silk from Purl Soho in the colorway Lilac Petal. I really loved working with this silk. It was a little splitty. It was my first time working with silk, so I didn't really know what to expect. It's softer on the hands than working with like a cotton, but the way that this particular yarn was put together, it reminded me of working with cotton, in that you have a lot of individual kind of strands of yarn plied together, and so you have to be really careful not to split your yarn. The yarn can kind of come apart, unravel on itself, kind of regardless of what you're doing with it. And so that made certain sections of the yoke, that made certain sections of the yoke a little bit difficult to do, but it was, I really enjoyed working with it. This took me about 2 weeks to do. I worked on it pretty extensively for about 4 days, and then I put it down for about a week because I just had a lot going on, and then I picked it back up and finished it in another couple of days. I followed the main pattern. There is an addendum for like a larger bust modification, but I wanted this to fit with not quite negative ease, but like an inch of positive ease. So this has about an inch of positive ease on it, and it's absolutely stunning. The silk material is so drapey, as you can see, and I love this purple color. Purple is one of my absolute favorite colors, and I don't buy it enough. So I'm trying to lean into it with my yarn and buy more shades of purple that I really enjoy and make things in that shade of purple. The only thing that I'm going to change is the bind off. So if this was made of wool, the bind off would be fine. I could kind of stretch it a little bit and it would be fine. But because it is made of silk, it has like no give to it. And so I'm going to probably in the next week or so pick out the bind off, and I have about this much left of the yarn, and I'm going to probably knit a couple more rounds of ribbing and then bind it off again a little bit more loosely. I can get it on. I've worn this top several times. It fits fine, but it's a little sketchy when I put it on. I'm a little worried, especially when I go over my bust, that I'm going to, you know, burst my bind off, and I have had that happen. Not on this project, on another project. I talked about it on my last podcast. So I don't want that to happen again. And so I'm going to just go in and fix the bind off. And because I have enough yarn, it'll be fine. I used probably about 100 and a little over 150 grams of yarn. This, I'm sorry, no, a little over 150. These came in 50 gram. Yeah, these came in 50 gram hanks. And so this is what I have left of my 4th hank of this. So even if I had gone up a size, I think I probably would have been fine on yarn. I might have needed one more hank of yarn, but overall, I think this was a great project. And I do want to make another one in like a mohair, either holding mohair with wool and make it a little bit thicker for the cooler weather, or just holding mohair double and have it be kind of an ethereal type of top with the longer sleeves. So I love this. I know everybody is making, did I say what this is? This is the Ranunculus. I'm all over the place. This is the Ranunculus. I don't know if I said that. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. But anyway, I will be making this pattern again. I will make it with the larger bust modification when I make it again, because I do want one that's a little bit roomier and a little bit more cozy. But I love this pattern. I highly recommend it. And the yoke is so pretty. The lacework on the yoke is so pretty, even in this silk. And so I'm just like imagining it with the halo of mohair. And I think it's going to be fabulous. I'm so excited for that. So I finished that as well. And my last finished object, mommy, if you're still watching, cover your eyes. I'll tell you when you can look again, is my mom's half and half triangle wrap. I literally just finished blocking this yesterday, and I need to get some finished object photos of it. But it's so beautiful. This color is Peach Stone. And then this color is, and I don't have the balls over here, the tags, but I'll link it below. I said what it was in my last couple of podcasts. It's not Pink Pop. It's the other like bright pinky fuchsia color. My mom picked this color and I picked this color, and together they are stunning. She's gonna love them together. It's gonna look so pretty on her. She has like the most beautiful, like deep, rich skin tone, and I just think that this is gonna pop on her skin tone so beautifully. I do love this peach stone color, and I might buy some more of it to use in a different half and half wrap for myself. I think that would be really special if we could have a wrap with the same colors in it. I'm not going for this super bright color. So this, I used the recommended yarn. So this is the Purl Soho linen quill. I'm obsessed with that yarn. It is so amazing to work with, and I think that people have like such mixed reactions to it. They either love it or they hate it, and I am on the love it camp. I will say it is a little rough on your hands when you're working with it. It is not super duper soft to work with, but I block all of my knits in, I'll show you. I use Tucked Woolen's their sock soap to block all of my hand knits. And I used, for this one, I used the Cucumber Eucalyptus, which I bought from Stress Knits, Stacy at Stress Knits. I don't know if she still carries this scent. I think it was made custom for her, but I love this scent. And last year for Christmas, I gave my mom and my sister a bar of this for the hand knits that I made for them last year. So I blocked this one in that scent so that it would, you know, have a scent that they already had. And it softens up beautifully. Got fuzz on my face. It softens up beautifully, and it becomes like next to skin soft. So I love it. For this one you'll notice, hold on, is much smaller than my original one. So this is mine. And this is blue denim, dark denim, and gray denim. Mine is huge. My mom's is not as huge. And that is because I didn't do the large, which I think is 260. I did 220 stitches. So I did a little bit larger than the the small, because I had heard that the small is actually really small, but I knew that my mom, she's also more petite than me, would be swallowed up by one this big. So I did this size, and it's going to be the perfect size for a wrap for her. And the only other thing I did differently on hers than mine is I did this I-cord edging. So I slipped the last 3 stitches with the yarn in front on the end of the row, and then when I turned it, I knit those 3 stitches, and it turns your corner in, your edges like that. So it becomes really, really neat. And I didn't need that for me, but I used it for hers. And what else did I do? I did do like spit splicing on this. It's for my mom, so, you know, it's fine. If I was making it for somebody else, I would just use, you know, warm water and rub my hands together. But this yarn spliced together so beautifully. So on the next one that I'm going to do that as well, because I only had to weave in like 4 ends on this whole thing. And for this size, I used about 1.5 skeins of each color. So I have 1.5 skeins of this color left, and I have 1.5 skeins of this color. I think I'm going to buy another skein, just one of this color, to use for a future half and half wrap. And then I think for this one, it may become, you know, color work or something in a top at a later date. I'll probably save it for a project, for something specifically for my mom, because she does love this color. Excuse me. I think I'm going to save the color for something specifically for my mom, because she does love this color so much. So, and she picked it out. So I think it would be nice to have her have something that's kind of coordinating, but you can see how the colors play together. It's beautiful. So she will be getting that for a gift for Christmas. And I'm excited to give it to her. She's seen me working on it. So, and she picked out the color, so it's not a surprise, but she did tell me that since she watches the podcast now, that when I'm working on stuff for her, that she doesn't want to know what it is. So I didn't want to ruin this surprise for her. So that is all of my finished objects. And now I'm going to get to my works in progress. I have 4, but technically 3. So we'll get to that. We're going to start with the preview knit that I was working on for Brooklyn Tweed. That has been on my needles for like ever at this point. This is another project that I am going to frog. Actually, I'm going to frog it today as well, while I have my Swift and ball winder set up. I still love this pattern. I still highly recommend it. It's beautiful. The construction on it is really beautiful. It is such an interesting knit, but it has been on my needles for so long. I've started so many other projects that I'm more excited about. And again, I don't feel this urge to have the finished product. And so I think I've just been like putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And so I love the yarn. I didn't say the pattern. This is the Chabot, I think it's pronounced Chabot, sweater by Alma Bali for Brooklyn Tweed. And it's knit in this the Perry for Brooklyn Tweed and the color Morel. And I love this yarn. It's 100% American Merino. It's not superwash. It is so soft. It's so buttery. I love working with it. I can already tell that when this blocks out, it's going to block out so beautifully and bloom so beautifully. But again, I love this yarn so much, and I don't love this pattern. And I don't think that forcing myself to finish it for the sake of having it finished is going to yield me what I want, the amount of satisfaction that I want from this project. So I'm going to frog this. I have plenty more of this yarn, and I actually have a few other colors of it that I want to pick up. So I may end up using this in something for color work. I think it would be beautiful in a color work kind of sweater or pattern. But I'm going to return it back. I'm going to release my project bag, which this is from Plystra. It's a project pouch. I ordered this one from Lobby and Aimee. I don't know if they make this color anymore, but they definitely make the project pouches. And yeah, I'm going to just reclaim this yarn because I don't open this project except to show y'all that I have it, which means that I need to let it go. So that is technically a whip, but it will be returning to the skein from which it came. The next thing that I'm working on is living in another Plystra project pouch. I bought this one for my birthday in this lilac color because I love purple. And I love these project pouches from Plystra. They can fit so much yarn in them. Like, it's insane what you can fit in here. And I love them. They're perfect, and I think they're just so chic. So I will link to these in the description bar. But I talked about on the first episode that I wanted to do the Vertices Unite, and I finally cast it on. So I cast this on a couple of weeks ago, actually, maybe a month ago. I had some woes, which I chronicled on my Instagram, but I finally found a color combination that I love. So this is section 1. It is the biggest section, and the colors in section 1 that I used are camel. Show you the colors. So this is camel, and then this is Santoki. And both of these are from Lobby and Aimee in the Cashmerino. So I think it's 80-10-10 or 80. I can look on the. It's 75% superwash, 15% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And I love Lobby and Aimee, as many of you know, and I love the Cashmerino specifically. So these two colors are what make up section 1. And then I kind of stalled a little bit because I was struggling with the color combinations for section 2. It's a stripy section, but it's a little bit more contrast. And I think my section 2 is going to be either these two colors, again from Lobby and Aimee, or like these two. So I kind of got a little bit of decision paralysis and sort of lost my mojo on working on this, but I want to have it finished sooner rather than later because I don't like having a ton of whips and I don't like having languishing whips. So I will probably pick up the stitches for section 2, maybe this evening while I'm watching a little bit of football. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, and it's so soft. It's so soft, and it's not even blocked yet, so I can't wait to see how it's going to turn out. But I talked all about this particular project, the yarn, the colors, everything on my very first episode. So I will link that below if you want to know more about what colors are going to go into this shawl. But colors are changing and evolving, and all of the colors that I picked look really pretty together. I just have to figure out the specific color combinations that I'm using in different sections so that I end up with something that, once again, I will love. And if I don't love it, I will just rip it out and start over because it's just yarn. So there's that. Okay, the next thing that I'm working on, I talked about this before, but during my work meetings, I like to work on socks. It's just really easy. And so my camera shut off. I don't know where it stopped. So hopefully you finished hearing me talk about my Vertices Unite. I don't know. But I was showing these socks, and these are knit in Lola Bean Yarn Co. in the Gone Fishing colorway. It was a sock set. So this is the other color. It's this really pretty bright yellow, and I'm going to use that just for the heel on this sock. So the cuff and the toe will be in the main color, and the heel will be in this contrast color. And when I was commuting to the office, I would often knit socks on the train. But because I don't commute to work, now I knit in most of my meetings, especially ones where I am either off camera or I'm not an active participant. Like I for my job, I have to sit in on a lot of calls and meetings where I'm literally just sitting and listening. And so a sock is a really great way to help me concentrate. So these are my latest pair of socks. I love the speckles on these. I'm not a huge like speckle variegated yarn kind of person, but something about these, I love them. I love them so much. And I think I talked about this before, but I knit my socks in tandem. So this is the pair I'm currently working on, but I already have the cuff on my second pair, and that helps me to prevent second sock syndrome. So my sock is already cast on, and it also helps me to keep fairly even tension between both socks. So I've knit about 40, almost 40 rows, maybe 35, 40 rows on this one. So when I get to a nice stopping point, I'm gonna pick up and start working on this one, and then I'll go back to this one, and I kind of go back and forth, and it helps me keep my tension. And my yarn is just divided into 2 equal cakes. And then it lives in this old Estee Lauder makeup bag. This might be vintage by now because I've had it forever. But yeah, so it lives in there. And what I learned working on my last pair of socks is that it does not take me 100 grams to make a full pair of socks. So I think I might be able to get a full pair and maybe a pair of shorties out of one skein, especially if I do a contrast for the heels or the toes. So I have another half a ball of this. So if I wanted to, I could do a contrast toe on another one, or another contrast heel, or something like that. And then these I'm knitting on a US 0, which is a 2mm. Yeah, a 2mm. So these are knit on a US 0, and so far I'm really liking the fabric. I don't know if it's that much different. Oh yeah, it is. So it's much more dense than these socks. So I don't know, we'll see. My foot will fit into it, no problem. But I'm gonna see which ones I prefer. I don't prefer working on this size needle. So I'm knitting these on Chiaogu 9-inch circular needles. That's my preferred method for sock knitting. I don't love the needle. It's a little fiddly. It takes me a few minutes to get comfortable again and like get in my rhythm of knitting. But if I like the way the sock turns out, then I'll deal with it. But we'll see. Stay tuned. And last but not least, this is living in this beautiful hand-embroidered project bag that I ordered from a maker on Etsy. I will link to her Instagram and her Etsy shop below. She does releases, and this bag is stunning. It is an investment for a project bag, but I definitely want to buy a smaller one. She does these like darker black or darker gray ones, and I think it would be so beautiful. But the detail on this was so beautiful that I couldn't pass it up. So I learned about her through the Cady Jack's Knits podcast, and I started following her, and her project bags are amazing. So I will link to both her shop and her Instagram below. But if you're interested in supporting a small maker, this bag is beautiful. Anyway, living in it is my latest whip. Ooh, and a fun product that I will show you. So this, let me see how crazy this looks. Okay. Find the front. There's yarn everywhere, okay, and needles everywhere. It was even crazier a few days ago, but it has since gotten better. Okay. This is the Bright Sweater by Junko Okamoto. I am obsessed with her patterns, not with her as a person. I don't know her as a person, but I'm obsessed with her patterns. And this sweater, look at that yoke detail. Oh my God, it's amazing. And then this is the detail down the sleeve. Obsessed with this pattern. So I have made a couple of modifications to the pattern. The first modification I made was to the collar. In the pattern, it's like a rolled collar and then the twisted rib. I didn't really love the way that that looked, so I did a provisional cast on, knit the ribbing double the length that it called for in the pattern, and then folded it over, knit it together, and then began the rest of the pattern. So I think that's the only modification that I've made. So then there are these like really pretty crossover stitch details, a kind of cable pattern, more of that, another twisted rib section, and then this section that ultimately becomes the sleeve. I think it runs down the length of the sleeve, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm knitting this in the yarn that's called for in the pattern, which is this, I don't want to mispronounce that. I think it's Moeki. I don't know. I'm from Alabama, and sometimes the names of these yarns and colors are beyond my comprehension. And so, but it is I think it's a Romanian company, if that helps anybody, oops, with the pronunciation. And I don't remember where I ordered the yarn, but I will link it. It is kind of hard to find this Phylena yarn, but I was able to buy a sweater's quantity of it a while ago. It is extremely rustic yarn. It has a thick and thin quality to it, which is making my stitches appear extremely uneven throughout the project. But I'm hoping that it will, when I block it, that it will bloom, and because it's so rustic, that the yarn fibers will kind of stick together and turn into a really beautiful fabric, more unified fabric, because the thick and thin of it is kind of driving me crazy a little bit. Not gonna lie about that. And this is in the natural colorway, which again is the yarn, the color that's called for in the pattern. I had originally bought this yarn to make the Elena sweater by Junko Okamoto, but I had bought a contrast color that I didn't really love, and I kept just kind of like waiting for the yarn to feel right, and it didn't. And I made a swatch and I cast on and I started and just like did not love the yarn and the color combination together. So I frogged it, and maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I've been working on this for about a week, a little over a week. But about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was like, I really want to make a sweater. I really want to make something that is color work and complicated, something that I can't just zone out on. Like, I wanted something that was going to draw my attention to the project. And I wanted to make the Fox Thought sweater that's in the, not most recent, but I think the issue before of Pom Pom. But Lobby and Aimee is sold out of the kit for the yoke color that I want to do. And so I was just flipping through my Ravelry library, and I saw this pattern and was like, I have the yarn for this. I can literally just cast it on. Like, I don't have to wait for yarn. I don't have to do anything. I can cast it on. And so I did. And I love this project. I'm so excited to have this finished. I have been trying it on. It fits great. And I am now, without giving too much of the pattern, you are knitting in the round, and then there's a part where you have to do some shaping and some other stuff, and then you split and then you join it back in the round. So I have now joined in the round, and I'm working on the body, and the body is not straight stockinette, which again, I appreciate. There is shaping and other things that are going on throughout the body, which I really love. And I talked about this on another episode, but if you see, this is the front. This stitch marker that indicates the front I got from Firefly Notes. It is a strawberry, and I'll have that linked below. And then I have two different colors of light bulb stitch markers. So when I read the pattern, there's one pattern repeat that you do a certain number of times, and then you switch to another pattern repeat. So on my pattern, I indicated which of these colors is for which pattern repeat. And then now I don't have to pay attention to the written pattern. I literally have, and I talked about this more in depth on another episode, but I pre-counted out how many repeats there are. There should be, I think, 6 repeats. So I counted out 6 repeats. And then now I am clipping these at the beginning of my round to indicate that I've done that repeat. And then once I'm finished with the purple, I'll switch to the bronze, and that will be how many repeats I have to do for bronze. And then I don't have to count. I don't have to count rows. I don't have to keep track of anything. I don't have to have a pencil and a paper and all of that. Everything I need to know about my pattern is literally on my work. So that makes it a lot easier to just work on it and get things done. And another thing that I do, I don't know if other people do this, but when I have to put my sleeve stitches on hold, I put them on hold on a circular, the actual cord for my interchangeable set. And so when it's time to pick up for the sleeves, I'll literally take these stoppers off, put the needles on, and then I'll go. I don't have to switch from the like waste yarn or anything like that back onto the needle, and it just makes it that much easier to like pick up and go for your stitches. So, and I find that I don't know, I just really like that method of holding my sleeve stitches. So that's what I do for all of my sweaters. So this is the bright sweater. I have not posted a photo of this on my grid yet on Instagram, but probably by the time you all are seeing this podcast, I will at least have one photo maybe of this up, but I'm really excited to have this for fall. It's going to be so beautiful. And while I'm working on it, because it is a pretty rustic yarn, which is not for everyone, I have been using this Tuft Woolens Vanilla Almond, what is it called? Lanolin Rich Hand and Body Balm. So it has lanolin in it, and I have it in the shade. I have it in the fragrance Vanilla Almond, but I also bought, when it was starting to get a little cooler out and I was just kind of like flirting with fall. We're not in a serious committed relationship right now. We're just flirting with each other. I bought this spiced pear cider, which smells like fall. It smells so, so good. And now summer is basically back in DC. It's going to be like 80 and humid all week. So like I said, the little relationship that I had with fall, it was fleeting. You know, he'll be back and we will make up and fall madly in love because we're soulmates. But right now, me and fall are like going through a thing. So we're just flirting, feeling it out, and hopefully we'll be back together again soon because I don't like to be hot and summer is not, she's not my jam. So anyway, that's this pattern. And this project bag has all of the yarn that I need for this project in it and the sweater. And it fits perfectly with a little bit of room to spare. So I love this project bag. If you can get your hands on one, I highly recommend it because it's beautiful. It's worth every single penny, worth it. So that's all of my current whips and my the next thing that I'm going to cast on, probably sometime this week, I'll probably wind the yarn during my book club because I will have my fall winder and Smith out, is for my next half and half wrap. This one is for me. Sorry, Ma, you can't have this one. Although she will probably try to steal it from me, but that's what moms do. So it's living in, the yarn for it is living in this basket that I got from Purl Soho. I will have it linked below. But the color that I'm doing is Red Poppy and Kiln Red. And this is one of the like they don't have bundles, but they have like color recommendations. And this is one of the pre-made recommendations that they have. Anybody that knows me in real life who is watching this is probably thinking, is she okay? She's gonna make herself something red. I don't love red. It's not my favorite color. I don't have an aversion to red, but I don't gravitate towards it. I don't really like it. But I don't know. I just had this vision of an outfit of like with this red half and half wrap on. And I think I've seen like a couple of versions of this. I think Jackie from Cady Jack's knit one in this color combination, and I saw it and I was like, I really like that. And I think I saw a couple more on Ravelry or something, and I decided that I actually did really like that combination. So I ordered this during the Labor Day sale, and this will be my next one that I cast on. I think I'm going to cast on with the darker red first and then go to the brighter red as it gets closer to the holidays. But I don't know. It was just something about the brick red and this kind of poppy fire engine kind of red that I really liked, and I think is going to be so pretty together and so pretty. It's just going to be stunning. And I'm going to cast on the larger size. I'm kind of debating casting on a few more stitches, so maybe doing 275 so that I can use up more of the yarn, because you end up with about half of a skein left over on the large size, and I don't really want to have a bunch of scraps left over. Like I want to use as much of it as possible, so I may make it just a little bit bigger than this one, but we'll see when it actually comes time to cast it on. So that's my future project. And yeah, I'm going to show you just a few things that I picked up, mainly because they're things that are still available. I did buy some things that were sort of limited edition or things like that, and I may show those later or as I'm working on them, but a couple of them are really, really pretty, and so I want to show what they are. So the first thing is this Corrie worsted confetti from Lobby and Aimee. Again, I love Lobby and Aimee. I love this like tweedy yarn in general. I want to pick up some of the hedgehog fiber Tweedy Noir, which is like their black Tweedy yarn. I have the neutral base Tweedy yarn, but now I think I want the black one. I think it'll be really pretty, especially for the holidays. Something about it is giving me a holiday vibe, so I think I might try to order some of that to do a fun holiday sweater. But this ochre color is stunning. I love this kind of, yeah, they're calling it ochre. It kind of is like baby puke green. But I love this color. I used to have a nail polish this color that I was obsessed with, and I love it. And the way that the speckles are just so kind of muted in it, I love, love, love this yarn. So I picked up a sweater's quantity of it, and on her Instagram, Aimee had a sweater that she did. I think it was a Felix pullover, maybe, and then a shawl from Stephen West. And I don't know if I want a worsted weight shawl. It doesn't really get cold enough for that in DC, but I'm excited to cast on a really beautiful sweater with that. So I think when I'm finished with the sweater that I'm working on now, I may cast something on with this. I don't know. We'll see. But I really do love the color of that yarn, and it feels so amazing. It is Falkland Corriedale. It's not super wash, but it feels super duper, I keep saying super duper. It's not super wash, but it feels incredibly soft, and I think it's going to bloom really beautifully, and I think it's going to make a really pretty pullover or sweater. And I don't know if I'm going to do something with a texture or if I want to just let the yarn shine, but she did something that had texture on it, and I think that that yarn, even with the confetti nature of it, is going to really pick up on the texture of a cable or something like that. I don't know if I have enough to do something that's cabled, but maybe something with really pretty raglan increases or a really pretty neck detail made out of ribbing or something like that, I think would be amazing. The other thing that I want to show you is something that I think is still available, which is why I'm showing it. If you are looking for a gift for somebody or looking for a gift for yourself, I bought it for myself. And if you're into advent calendars, even if you don't, celebrate Christmas, but if you enjoy advent calendars, then this might be something that you enjoy. And it's from a brand that I just discovered this year, but that I really enjoy. I've bought a ton of stuff from them, and I've become incredibly obsessed with their shop. So when I saw that they were coming out with an advent calendar, I had to get it. I actually have 3 advent calendars coming this year. One from Magpie Fibers in like a traditional advent. I picked up one from, it's a combination of different Black makers, but it's to celebrate Kwanzaa. And my family personally does not celebrate Kwanzaa, but I love Kwanzaa. And so I picked up a Kwanzaa advent and then this one. Sorry for the rustling. This is a advent of stitch markers. It's a stitch marker advent. It was relatively affordable, and it's from the brand Firefly Notes. I love Firefly Notes. They make kind of cheeky stitch markers and knitting notions, and I really enjoy I really have enjoyed the products that I've purchased from them. So when I saw this, I absolutely had to have it. It is, I think it's woodland creature inspired, and again, if you know me, I don't enjoy squirrels. I'm not afraid of squirrels per se, but I have a story about squirrels. Not one that I'm going to bore you with today, but we have a long-standing beef, and I still bought this with this squirrel right on the front of it. So that's how much I love Firefly Notes that I picked this up, even though it has a squirrel on it. And I believe they're selling them. I think they're still available online. I will link it below if it is, but they've also sent these out to different local yarn shops. So I don't know if they will have a listing, but if they have a list of the different yarn shops where they've sent this particular advent to, then I will try to include a link to that page so that you can reach out to those local yarn shops and hopefully be able to purchase one for yourself. I don't remember the price point on this, but it was fairly reasonable compared to other yarn advent type of things. So I think this would be really great for somebody in your knitting circle, or if you have a knitter in your life and you're looking for a gift for them and you don't want to buy them yarn, because buying yarn it's very personal. Different people like different things and like different yarn dyers and things like that, but notions, stitch markers, we love those. So I'm really excited for that, and excited to get my other advents and things like that. And I've purchased a couple of other things that when they come, I will probably share them, but I haven't gotten them yet. So I don't have them to show, and I don't want to talk about it if I can't show them yet, but that's all that not all. That's what I'm going to show you today that I have picked up. That is not all that I picked up. That would require a tremendous amount of self-restraint when it comes to yarn purchasing that I personally don't have. I wish I could be that good about buying yarn, but I've bought way more yarn than that. But that's all that I'm going to show today, because I don't want us to be here forever. And so, yeah, I think that's all I have today. I have a few minutes before I have to actually log on for my book club. We read, the name of the book that we read, I think, is The Last Thing He Said to Me. It's a mystery thriller kind of book. I have mixed feelings about it. I think it's a good book. It was not my favorite thriller. I don't know. I think I like things to have like a resolve and an end, and to have like a definite ending. And this one has an interesting ending, but it's not like a definite ending. But it was a really good book. So highly recommend it. I'll link it below. I listened to the audiobook, but I don't know. I think it's one that I would have read. I just didn't have time. I forgot that I had book club this week. So I started the book yesterday, finished it today, and because I was able to listen to it while I was doing other things and driving and running errands and things like that. So anyway, I'm about to get ready to go to book club, but I would love if you subscribed if you enjoyed the video. Hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified the next time that I upload a video. If you want to keep up more real time with my projects and things that I'm working on and different little passion projects along the way, then definitely follow me on Instagram. I will have that linked below. It's at Phylena Knits. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you below. What's your favorite thing about fall? I kind of feel like as a knitter, it's like on the application to become a knitter, you have to love fall. So I want to hear about what you love about fall. Me personally, I love that chill in the air. I don't like to be hot, so I like the chill in the air. I love being able to layer my hand knits especially, but like layer clothes in general. And I love football. I love football. And so for me, football is like the official start of fall, and getting to like knit and watch football games, and oh, I just love it. Like sitting at a bar with my knitting, watching a football game, drinking a cocktail, eating bar food is one of my absolute favorite things in the world. So I love all of that about fall, and fall is the precursor to the winter holidays. And my family, we personally celebrate Christmas, but I just love all of the winter holidays. And I think even though it can be a difficult time for people for a lot of different reasons, I think in general, that time of year between Thanksgiving and the end of the year is a really uplifting time for me, and it's when I kind of feel my happiest. And so I know that when fall hits, that we're almost at that time of year where it's going to become Christmas. And so I love that part about fall, like the anticipation for Christmas makes me so happy. So I'd love to hear from you what you love about fall, and if you're in what I assume to be the knitting minority and don't like fall, and I want to hear about what your favorite season is and why you love that season. But like I said, I think being a knitter, you have to love fall, right? It's par for the course, I think. Anyway, I'm going to sign off now. I hope that you are continuing to stay healthy, that you are finding joy in your knitting or whatever crafting you're doing or whatever your hobby is, and that I will see you sooner rather than later, either here on my YouTube channel or over on my Instagram. Until next time, bye.